Welcome to the Apocalypse Survivors Club Radio Hour, where we bring you stories of people who gave up everything for the end of the world and received just another normal day in return. Those who sacrificed so much and never received the revelations they were promised. Tonight, we will be presenting a radio play set in a rare quiet moment before the apocalypse. It's a sunny afternoon in the Haymarket district of Lincoln, Nebraska. New Well, the city's only punk rock LGBTQIA bar, is open for business, but only the staff and one hardcore regular are ready for a cocktail this early on a Thursday.
Did you hear that they shot a wolf?
Here? In the Haymarket?
No, all the way up in Bassett, near the Sandhills.
That's like 4 hours away, so I assume we're not in any danger then?
I'm just saying. I lived here my whole life, and there's never been wolves in Nebraska. Now, all of a sudden, we got a wolf. That is not a good sign.
Wolves and hipsters always creeping in when you least expect it. And only one doesn't shit where they eat.
We've triumphed over worse than wolves.
We'll see. At my age, I know portents of doom when I see them.
Suddenly, in the doorway, Kaya appears. She seems nervous, a little sad, and impossibly sober.
Hi, are you open?
I thought only the true regulars knew that this bar was open during daylight hours. Who wanders into a strange bar at noon on a Thursday? She's a witch.
Doesn't take special powers of divination to figure out we're serving. Doors open, you're drinking a cocktail. She's too clean cut to be a witch.
She's a straight girl. The wolf is at the door.
You don't know who she is just by looking.
No, I know her, I think. I've definitely seen her before. Her or her kind.
Don't be intolerant.
I'm not saying that all straight people look alike. I'm saying that she's got a look I don't trust.
Hush. We all know what it's like to show up somewhere alone and thirsty. Yes, hun, we are open.
Thank you. Can I sit at the bar?
You can sit anywhere you like. It's friendlier at the bar.
Thank you.
She sits, and her eyes slowly scan the room. She sees the band flyers from the 80s, the Christmas lights, the candles and the melted wax that was allowed to form beautiful stalactites in violation of nearly every fire code, the velvet painting of Klaus Nomi, the pride flags, all the extra R's in the Riot Girl graffiti.
This is such a fun, colorful place.
I knew you had the look of a first-timer.
It's true. I've walked past it a lot, but never stepped inside until today.
You local?
Just for the last year. I moved here for business.
Has it been a success?
Time will tell.
So, are there no bars like this where you come from?
Hardly any bars at all. I grew up in Pilger, and we got greenhorns, and that's about it. And it's nice, comfortable. Lots of tables and pool and darts and everything, but Lord, I could spend a week in here and never get done looking at all the pictures and reading all the stickers on the wall. In my town, they say the Haymarket doesn't have no history. They're sure wrong, though.
History we got. Whether or not we want to celebrate it is another matter entirely.
It's fraught, but ultimately triumphant.
Fits and starts, Arthur. Fits and starts.
So, introductions are in order. I am Matty, your bartender. That's Cammy, the bar manager. And this is Arthur, who, well, he was already sitting here and we just built the place around him.
I am Arthur, a regular. a man about town, a Lincoln lifer, and I am unscathed by the barbs of those who are no longer as young as they pretend to be.
Can't argue with that. So,
Kaya.
Kaya, what can I get you?
Well, my daddy drinks bourbon.
And you?
I'm a daddy's girl.
Aren't we all?
I am decidedly not.
But despite being a daddy's girl, I have struggled with bourbon.
Well, let's see if I can't take the edge off it for you.
Maddie begins mixing the drink. Kaya waits with her hands folded softly in her lap. She thinks of Exodus 2:22, how Moses was a stranger in a strange land, and how he named his firstborn son Sojourner. She thinks about how wonderful and blessed it must be to be a stranger and a traveler, and is confident she made the right decision.
So, you've been here a year now. What do you think of Lincoln?
It's crowded. Lots of tall buildings.
Crowded's good. Tall buildings are nice. Nebraska's such a wide open state. I like feeling a little closed in, like I'm being gently held.
Someone once told me that the good thing about Nebraska is that it's flat. And if you're going to rise towards heaven, you're going to want as few things in your way as possible.
Personally, I want a bunch of tall shit to grab onto to slow my ascent.
You don't want to go to heaven?
Sure I do, but I'd rather take the long way there.
Here we go. This is a Waldorf cocktail. It's essentially Manhattan made with Nicholson bourbon, so it's softer than the bourbon you might be used to, with sweet vermouth, bitters, and an absinthe prince.
That's a good one, but you know, the lady might prefer.
We'll drop that in the spot before I hand someone a fucking junk cocktail like a Bay Breeze or Fuzzy Navel, even if it's a straight girl, even if it's a fucking bachelorette party.
Kaya sips the drink and closes her eyes. Everything is new. She takes a big gulp of it before speaking again.
This is delicious. How much do I owe you?
Thank you. $7 because it's happy hour.
7. The number of perfection. How appropriate.
Kaya reaches into her bag and pulls out a 10 and hands it to Maddie. The bill, the gesture, her hand, the way she extends her arm, the arc of the whole thing. Arthur suddenly remembers where he's seen her before.
I knew you looked familiar. You handed me a pamphlet the other day.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it was some end of the world shit. I threw it away immediately. Is that your business? The apocalypse?
Yes.
And it's soon, isn't it? You and that preacher kept shouting about, what was the date?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Shouldn't you be working?
They gave us the day off.
The day off from the end of the world?
My family is with Preacher Daniel. I said I wanted to go for a walk. And I started to think that I'm going to be in heaven with people I know, people I've known my whole life. I wanted to spend my last day with an entirely different group of people.
That's either the sweetest or most insulting thing I've ever heard.
I don't mean it to be insulting.
Well, it is. We're not a sideshow for you. We're not something you can tourist in, that you can gawk at. Young lady, I've been out and proud in Lincoln, Nebraska for 50 fucking years, and they've been hard years. I was enrolled in the first ever class on gay history at UNL 1970, 8 years before gay sex was even legal. I wasn't going to go to college. People in my family did not go to college, but I went just to take that class. And you bet there were good old farm boys waiting outside that door, taking down names, sizing up the fags.
Ease up a little, Arthur.
No! I'm tired of easing up. I'm tired of seeding ground. You get pushed out of homes and barred from businesses your whole life. And so you build your own place, someplace safe. And they come and take it from you too.
Who's they? I just wanted a drink.
This is the Haymarket. There's a bar on every corner, with 3 in between. You came here because you wanted a show. They all want a show.
I'm in charge of who drinks at my bar, Arthur.
Then do something about it.
She came in, ordered a drink, and was nothing but sweet. You picked a fight. You were rude to a paying customer, someone who just gave Maddie $3 on a $7 drink, and now I gotta step in and apologize for you. And I gotta tell you, Arthur, kind of sick of it always being the young Black woman's job to clean up the old white man's fuck-ups.
I do not believe I fucked up, but I take your point.
Well, you keep taking my point. And while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and think about how those safe old gay spaces were for queers of color, for trans folk. 50 years ago, it was a revolution, and it was important, no doubt. But just pause for a second and think about all the people who were left out of that revolution before you start with the good old days shit.
I didn't say they were good. I just said they were necessary. But again, point taken.
Thank you.
Don't thank me. I don't entirely trust you either. But you said you wanted to drink with a group of people who aren't like you. And I just want you to see how much we ain't like each other either. We don't all have the same experiences in this world just because we drink at the same kind of bar.
I understand.
You're welcome to drink here. Just don't go lumping us all into one group.
But that's how life ends up, isn't it? But it's not how it starts. Like before today, when Preacher Daniel and I and our whole church were out there trying to save souls, everything was possible, you know? It wasn't us and them. Everyone had the possibility to be saved.
Even us?
Yes. The promise of Revelation is that you just gotta put the work in. We wouldn't be handing out the literature if we didn't think that everyone could be saved. You'd all need to change. Fundamentally, but it's possible. Wouldn't be a loving God if he didn't allow for change.
And you still believe that? That we gotta change who we are in order to be saved?
Yes. But I woke up this morning and realized that change was probably no longer possible for anyone. There just isn't time. And suddenly it became about us and them, saved and damned, good and bad. And all potential just kind of drained out of my world. And I just became really sad.
I don't know how to be any other way than how I am. And believe me, I fucking tried. I tried so hard that it nearly broke me.
With God, all things are possible.
Maddie reaches from behind the bar and gently, but very deliberately, removes Kaya's empty glass. Maddie has, all on her own, borne the weight of many impossible things.
I'm not going to put as much thought or care into your next cocktail. I just want you to know that.
Bay Breeze, Fuzzy Navel.
Vodka and Red Bull. Well, vodka.
I'm sorry that I upset everyone. I'm just not making myself clear.
I've always lived by the idea that when we lose our place, we can begin again. So, what is it that you're trying to say?
Today is the last day. The last day before the world ends. I believe it. That much of my faith remains. I believe that the sky will open up and those of us who have accepted the word of Jesus Christ will rise, and those that did not will struggle and most likely be damned. And In heaven, I will forever be surrounded by people who talk like me and think like me and
Look like you?
probably, yes. And this morning, lying in bed, I had the most absurd thoughts. If all that is true, heaven must be really boring.
I don't think it's absurd. I think it's the most sense you made since you sat down.
It just seems like you create a world and then you fill it with beings of free will, and so much diversity comes of that. So many different types of people, faiths, lives, loves. At the end, why wouldn't you want to call all that back home? As God, why wouldn't you want that with you? Such diversity honors the idea of creation. How can it all be condemned? To do all that, thousands of years of change, just to demand that we all swear the same oath at the end to be the same people? I know there's a heaven, and I know I will be there tomorrow, but now I'm thinking, maybe I don't want to be? Is that awful, to turn your nose up at heaven?
I swear, I worked in bars nearly my whole life, and you think you've heard it all. Drunken confessions, crises of conscience and of faith. But Kaya, you are something else entirely.
Something's been missing my whole life. And I'm just terrified that it's going to be missing in eternal life as well. How can this emptiness be God's plan?
Maddie hands her another glass. It's what she does when she finds someone desperately reaching for something, for anything. A little kindness.
What's this?
Straight bourbon. I think you're gonna need to learn to like it, but with all the shit going on in your head. It's funny. I bet your folks, your family, can't wait to get to your heaven. I bet they think that heaven is the town they grew up in, the bar they drink at, their family. It's hell for me. I couldn't get away fast enough.
I stayed, but I forced it to change. I made my presence felt. They joked that they built this bar around me, and damn right they did. They fucking had to.
Build shit around me because as long as I'm breathing, no one's building anything on top of me.
Tastes better than I remember it.
Everything tastes better during an apocalypse.
You're probably right. So, it's okay if I still drink here?
I can't imagine there's a better place in all of Nebraska to wait out the end of the world.
You don't believe the world is ending, though.
It's the same deal everyone gets when they fall asleep, honey. The sun's gonna rise for you tomorrow, or it ain't. And it's the same deal all three of us get when we step out of our front doors every day. I'm gonna make it home alive, or I'm not.
Gonna make it home alive or not.
I'm gonna make it home alive, or I'm not.
The sad, fucked up fact is that there's worse things than someone thinking we're gonna go to hell. It's amazing the shit you learn to let slide. So yeah, you can drink here today. And you can drink here tomorrow if the sun comes up and everything else is right with our world.
Maddie, Arthur, and Cammy clink glasses. It's a sad toast in a way, one that they give each other every night, an acknowledgement that in some ways, the world ends every fucking day.
It's your last day on earth. And what you got to look forward to is a paradise full of people just like you. And instead, you woke up suddenly missing everyone not like you, realizing that you've always missed them, always, throughout your whole damn life. And now, here you are talking about the godliness of diversity of thought and body and experience and soul. It's near 1 p.m. and you've had the revelation that all of that has value. Hell, by the end of the night, I think we could actually convince you to love it. I think we can convince you to pray that the sun rises tomorrow, that the world goes on the same as it always has, but that you are forever changed.
To set